Hi, friends. Good day to you. This is Coffee Break with Dr. Michele Alignay. Kumusta po kayo? Alam ko lahat ng nanonood dito ay mostly adults. That's why I find it very fitting to talk about our topic for this morning, and that is being in adulthood, being a psychologist, and being in the field of in the helping profession, in family life and psychology. I would really like us to reflect on this topic. It might be boring, but you might realize that many things that we are encountering, it's exactly what we need to overcome, what we need to do, and what we need to progress about in this stage called adulthood. So join me this morning as we go through this session, this coffee break session. So, hindi ko alam kung napaaga ba tayo. Are we? So, friends, if you are here already, say hi. I would like to get to know who are here already in our broadcast. So, please bring your coffee. Hi, Yeng. Hi, Eileen. Bring your coffee with you. Bring your friends with you. Bring other adult family members with you. Because I would like us to reflect about some critical things that are very important for us adults. Kasi alam nyo, I was thinking, I think I need to talk about this topic because you see, we are here in Coffee Break for quite a while. Ang madalas natin pag-usapan ay tungkol sa, all the issues, all the matters na pinagdadaanan natin. Pero ang kailangan natin makita, kailangan natin maintindihan nasaan ba tayo. Alam ko madalas natin marinig yung term na adulting. Wait ha, I have to share this. Adulting or adulthood, alam ko madalas natin yan marinig or makita with a lot of millennials, with a lot of people right now. But in the line of developmental psychology, we call it adulthood. The term adulting, it's actually a new word that they coined to be able to separate the process because over the years, the adulthood, the stage of adulthood. Adults are us persons, and adulthood, ito yung stage na pinagdadaanan natin or stage na kung saan nandito tayo. So join me with your coffee. Kailangan matapang-tapang at matapang natin harapin ang pagiging adults. I would like to ask first. Let me throw the first questions. So I'm encouraging questions right now, friends. This is the episode that will see and align the questions that you may have. So what I would like you to ask yourself, ano yung issue ko nung maybe early 20s ako? Ano yung issue ko ngayon na I did not ever realize that I will have when I was in my early 20s. Ayan. It's a very nice reflection point. What is my issue when I was in my, emerging adulthood ang tawag dyan. Yung maaga pa sa pagiging adult na hindi ko inakalang magiging issue ko ngayon. Another question. So I would like you to reflect on that question. Another thing, can you also answer, friends, sa mga nandito na, there are more than 30 of us here right now watching live, and then pag nagre-replay, may mga team replay, we get about more than 1,000. Yan. Friendship, relationship issues. Yes, totoo yan. Another thing, what is it that is something about yourself that you did not ever realize you have? Ano yung meron ka sa sarili mo na dati parang hindi mo akalain meron ka pang side ng ganito? Are you getting me? I have this side pala all along. This is, there's another side of you as an older adult compared to being in your younger adult years. Another thing, what is it that, so one is the issue, the second is the side of yourself, and the thing is, realidad naman, ano yung parang dati hindi natin struggle, dati hindi mo talaga to naisip na, hindi na non-issue before, pero ngayon issue na. Yan. Please tell that. Please show it to us, friends. That's Cave Rio said, friendship and relationship issues. Yes, that's very much correct. So, let's go. So, I have three questions. What is the first thing? Please answer, friends. So we can talk about it. First, what is that issue that you had now that you did not really realize then? Di mo naman focus yon. Pangalawa, ano yung side ng sarili mo? Ayaw niyo sigurong aminin, pero meron tayong side na, ay, ba't ako ganito ngayon? Dati never ko yan naging issue. And third, ano yung concern natin ngayon, pinoproblema natin ngayon na dati hindi naman natin problema, or what is it that we have in our plate that we never worried about before. So, welcome to Adulthood, friends. Yan yung talagang, so, di ba dati ang kape natin is the sweet coffee or the 3-in-1. Now, we like black coffee, or did you ever realize using cocoa sugar before, or muscovado? No, we did not ever realize that. Okay. Yeah, I agree with some of you. Hi, Jessie. Hi. Um, Possibly, I agree with that. So, in the process of becoming adults, this adulthood actually, especially when we are in our 20s or 30s, it's the peak of our maturity. It's the peak of our functioning. It was actually said by experts that this is in the early stage of 20 to about 25-year-old. That's the peak of intellectual development, because dun pa lang nade-develop yung tinatawag na brain part called the prefrontal cortex. But I'm not going to go through with you that area. But if you realize that if you would compare how we were then to how the adults now, we think differently, because of that's the context of, that's the context of being the Gen Z, and Gen X, and the Gen Y. But it's also the context of the society that we were we were during the time. And if you think of it, mas simple yung buhay natin dati. Ngayon, ang dami-dami nilang influences. They had too much. But without that comparison, let's think about that adulthood is actually a developmental stage. In my field, it's a developmental stage. Maybe not looked into so much the way that we did when we were when we were kids. Like there's more studies of childhood and how it formed the person, but there's less. I'm not saying that there's none, but there's less focus on us adults, kasi 'di ba, siguro less focus na yung research about adults kasi matatanda na ba tayo, alam na dapat natin, but then we realize that there's more problem. And the thing is, one of the key areas that an adult is an adult is really the what we call the peak of intellect, of the peak of maturity, meaning he or she is able to integrate. I would repeat that word, integrate emotion and logic in their life. Hindi ka na basta-basta nagtotopak. Hindi ka na basta-basta nagtatampo automatically. Hindi lahat ng bagay papatulan mo the way we would as a child. I would like to tell you, hindi natin pinapatulan ang mga bagay na papatulan natin nung tayo maliit. Hindi lahat ng emosyon natin, it's about other people, because we are learning that your emotion is our access to ourselves. um, I would like to take in one comment here. I actually need people around me to cope with the stressors of life. That adulting, especially house chores, are exhausting. That our career shouldn't solely define our lives. I like the last point. Our career should not solely define our life. That's very uh, true. But that I actually need people around me to cope with the stressors of life. Yes, we need people, but actually, I have to tell you, everyone, that stressors are stressors. Stressors are part of life. And we just have to accept that in adulthood, it's not gonna be easy peasy. While we keep getting stuck in the thought that In adulthood, magagawa ko na gusto ko. In adulthood, I will have my own financial capacity. In adulthood, I can be someone. That's true. But it comes in a package that has the goodness of it, and a package that has some items that we don't like, called stress. And then adulting, especially house chores, are exhausting. Actually, house chores are naturally part of life. I have to capture that. It's just that maybe we are not wired when we were younger. That is why I have to tell you, friends, if you look at your younger life, if your younger life, your younger self, your childhood, teenage life is free from stress, you were never dependent upon in the house, you were hindi ka pinokpok, at saka yung parents mo parang pag nagtotopak ka, kina-curdle ka pa. 'Di ba? O kaya parang lahat ng para 'pag tinotopak ka meron naman parang, "Okey magtopak ka, bahala ka diyan, 'di ka namin pansinin." 'Di ba? Hindi ka nila pinatulan, and that helps build us. So, all the issues of adulthood, many of it, most of it, if it becomes an issue or a bigger problem, it they manifest some unresolved issues when we were younger. Kaya nagiging issue yung chores. Kasi may resistance tayo doon nung maliit tayo. Kaya, ah, kaya naging stressful yung mga tao sa paligid natin. Maybe because growing up, we never put value to them, or we were never taught the dynamics to deal with them. Or masyado tayong na baby, masyado tayong na-spoil, pinagbibigyan, ngayong adult tayo, hindi tayo pinagbibigyan. Kanya-kanya tayong buhay. Somebody here is saying, I love yung hindi ka na nagtotopak. Pwede ka naman magtopak, but you don't have the same topak compared to a 3-year-old. If you have what we call toddler tantrum, like of a toddler, and then it's gonna be different because you are an adult. You're supposed to be in command of your emotions, and you integrate it with your intellect. But a toddler cannot understand so much. They do not, what is frustration for them is frustration kasi kinuha mo yung laruan ko. So in adulthood, pag hindi mo ako pinagbigyan, iiyakan mo na agad-agad. That is the big difference. We just don't whine at life. Yes, we whine a bit because our difficulties in adulthood, they make or break us. I agree. I solely agree with that. That in adulthood, it's actually, I don't want to call it the battle of the fittest, but it's the make or break. Kasi it's going to make us the person we are. So you have to, yeah, as I was saying, you have to integrate the biggest maturity level that we can consider in adulthood is that we are capable of seeing that we are already capable of integrating and being aware of our emotions and integrating it with our intellect. Napakalalim naman yan, Doc. Yes, napakalalim yan. So, what are the issues and what are the things that we need to pursue? Career development and transition. Somebody was saying here that career shouldn't solely define our lives. That's true because there's such thing as relationships, there's such thing as family, there's such thing as other mission. Pero ang gagawin nating badge is yung kung ang badge lang natin, or we put solely all our eggs or our identity in just being a mother, just being a just being our career woman, and then remove other areas of our lives. So, who will we be? Paano pag nawala yung trabaho yun? Paano tapos na rin yung role ng pagiging nanay, di ba? Because here in adults, it's actually a juggle. Can you say that with me? It's juggling. It's not a struggle, but we have to juggle so many roles. May mga oras na may mga stages at seasons in our life that we have to juggle more than we had before. But the key here is that are all the things that we are trying to juggle very important? Medyo maraming importante, pero alin dyan? This situation we are now has taught us ano naman yung mas importante among everything that are clamoring that they are important, which among them are more important. So here we go. In becoming adults, one area that we need to focus on, as I said, career development and transitions. So I have to rephrase that, career development and transitions. Diba, we started with a low career, we started with a very basic career, and that's fine. Kung nagsimula tayo sa maliit, di ba ang galing na nakita na we are progressing and then we are achieving. But the thing is, kung nagsimula na tayo sa malaki agad, ano pa yung babalikan natin? How can we, those little things, I really believe, the little things with the big difficulties in life actually prepares us for something bigger. I like the quote from my community, the feast. We cannot have the same faith as before with the problems we will have tomorrow. And I would tweak that. We cannot have that same self that we had before to the struggles that we have now and tomorrow as adults. Diba? It's the same thing. It's about faith, it's about ourselves, our identity in our career development, we learn things and kaya it's critical for adults to find a career, not a job, but a career. A career with a life mission. It's very critical na hindi lang basta maghanap kung anong pagkakakitaan, pero hanapin ano ba yung purpose natin, ano ba yung career na gusto nating pursue. Kaya in the guidance setting, di ba merong career guidance, career development na sana siniseryoso ng mga high school students because it's going to make a big difference on how they will be when they're adults. Because in adults, there's no more blueprint. There's no more PowerPoint template na iswak na natin lahat. Yun yung critical doon, friends. Yun doon tayo nadali. Because I think we grew up in a generation many of us grew up in a generation that our parents assume na, oh, graduate ka na, maghanap ka na ng trabaho. Saan ako hahanap? Maghanap ka sa Yellow Pages. Magtawag ka. So parang, wow, where do I start? Now, many adults, napansin ko to with the young ones, the millennial peoples and the growing the Gen Z people, they want template. They want to know how to go about things. But it's nice if we can support them with templates. But not all of life have templates. Sometimes the template is in our inner system and in our inner wisdom. Kaya marami, hindi nila alam yung why because they were given the templates of the what. Naintindihan niyo yun? If we are always given a template about the whats and then we might not realize the how and the why and the what for. Kasi yung what lang yung binigay. And it's very critical in our career development, in our transitions, in our lives, and in relationships. That is why another dilemma that many of us are going through right now, it's the work and family conflict. What do I mean by this? The work and family conflict meaning ano yung uunahin ko? I know many of you, even of course moms and dads who are work from home, we are all in this situation. There's a conflict between giving our best to our work, but there's a conflict also on the call of children that we are checking where we are right now. I would like to capture that, Russell. What are your thoughts on the Japanese concept of ikigai, search for balance and meaning of life? Adulthood requires a balance of a lot of things, but most of the time, when you choose, say, your passion, your vocation, there's an apparent imbalance. It's good. I've read that and I like that, but do you need to also have that balance of practical side? The concept that I'm teaching you are actually not of ikagi, but so connected to that. Because the concept I'm giving you as a psychologist are concepts in developmental psychology. I teach this subject. But it's good to consider that concept because that one, it's a belief. The other one that I'm saying you are the solid theories that we are exploring. There's nothing wrong with the Ikagi search for life. But if you keep searching for life, and then how will you eat? if you keep searching for your passion, you just make sure that you know when to balance it with practicality and, of course, I said your vocation. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful when we adults are able to put together the passion. When you choose, you say your passion versus your vocation. For me, there is supposed to be no versus. The passion and the vocation, for me, it needs to be put together. Adulthood requires a balance of a lot of things, but most of the time, when you choose your passion versus your vocation, for me, no. It's supposed to complement each other. um Early in adulthood, you might be looking for life, you might be looking for the passion and everything, and it is good. But honestly, when you start looking at it at the lens of other people's standards, at the lens of your parents' standards, eto madalas na matanong sa akin na ah maganda po ba yung kita sa in your profession? Because when we focus only on the monetary value of what we do, and then it defeats the whole purpose. Because I believe, for one, that we should be able to know our passion in life, and together with that, combine it with the vocation that God has called us to do. How would you know that? Oh, I've read this wonderful basic book of Brother Bo Sanchez. It calls Life Dreams 101, How to Know God's Dreams for You. I've read that, but only when I was reevaluating already my life career. But that's why for me, there's no work and family. There is work and family conflict because I am a family psychologist. I have a personal pressure for me to walk my talk, for me to give my kids support and to give my family and husband support the same way that I am giving you and everyone but one here in coffee break the support, and everyone that I talk with in my webinars and in my programs, I am giving them the same support. But if I fail on my family, I fail, and it's also part of my passion, and thank you, Lord, that is my calling and my vocation. So for me, there is no conflict. The bigger conflict is really to juggle the realities. Because we can always be ideal. And this is the big difference, friends. Russell, I don't know what is your age, but there is an ideal here. I see that you have a lot of ideals, and this is good. But honestly, in our first stage of adulthood, in a stage called the early adulthood, which is the early 20s, the 20s, we are so full of ideals. We are looking at life and adulthood in rose-colored glasses. And many of these things we would like to see na, wow, ang galing nito. Wow, gusto ko to. Wow, I want to experience that. Because we have that rationale, we have that personal capacity, we have that freedom already to do things, and it's beautiful. But we need to understand also that struggles happen, that problems happen, reality bites, struggles and stresses are part of life. And we need to know how to integrate everything all together. So that's why in our 30s, what I personally noted, in our 30s, it's more of wow, a new problem comes. Wow, and this comes. And we keep honing ourselves and going beyond these problems. The problem in adulthood happens if we just leave problems as problems. I'll repeat that. The problem with adulthood is that if we leave problems as problems, because if we are a kid and we cannot deal with the problem, and then it's okay because we are kids. If we are in the adolescence and we cannot deal with something, maybe we left a part, we omit a part of the growing up process. But if in adulthood we are forever running away from issues, we are forever cannot commit or cannot complete a relationship. Alam niyo yung mga nang iiwan, nagsi-zine zone sa buhay. If we cannot forever put proper closure at mga bagay na dapat ayusin, hindi natin hinaharap. We go from one work to another, nag-aawol tayo. We are, trying this and out. It's not wrong to try things, but how do we integrate everything? It's not wrong to experience many things, but which among those experience that so many, gusto ko yan, are true to our core. That's why there's a bigger conflict in adulthood, in our what we call individuation process, and in the maturity process. In the 20s, it's full of ideal. In the 30s, reality bites because it's going to prepare us for the more important things in midlife. Because in midlife, sorry, you don't give a shit about a lot of things. You know what? The things that I reflected on, what the things that are I think are very very critical in early 20s. I don't give a damn anymore about it in my 40s. Hindi lahat pinapatulan. Okay, your questions: at what point at adulthood do you stop figuring out who you are as a person and say that, yeah, these are the cards? You know what? You have to start looking at your own adult wisdom. Because in adulthood, even though that I'm a psychologist, there's no one size fits all. Because it depends on our context, and that's something that I would like each of us to invite to. In the conflicts that we have, if we keep looking for outside opinion, outside, at what point yung benchmark natin, what if they're wrong? What if what they say is wrong? And what is critical for us is to get little insights. I'll get little insight here and a little insight there, but you don't subscribe to everything that you hear, because in the end, if you don't let those settle in you, if you don't pray about it, if you are not in tune with your God, with your spirit, to align you to how you can make sense out of it, and then we cannot still go into that beautiful process. Being in adulthood is actually finding that balance that perfectly defines the kind of life we live. And we are supposed to define ano ba yung gusto kong buhay. Pangalawa, so yung balance na sinasabi nila, work-life balance, work-life harmony, there's conflict, of course, there's competing demands with family. Ano ba yung gusto ko para sa akin? Ano ba yung balanse para sa akin? Pangalawa, yung standards of service. I've seen my friend here, Anna. Hi, Anna. Um, yung standard of service, dapat ba yung service ito lang sa church? Ito lang ba dapat yung service? Dito lang sa community to nakakahon? Pag ba hindi ako sumali dyan, am I less of a person? Diba? So, I've heard that many questions. And actually, it's a good question to ask. But I will throw back the question. When do you think you stop? Honestly, personally for me, you do not stop. You do not stop figuring out things because the problems of the past is different from the problems of the present. And you need the problems of the past to boost yourself in the problems of the present, because the problems of the future would depend also in how we are made. So if we do not learn the lessons in the problems of the past, if there's no integration. In life, the most beautiful thing that can happen is we integrate how we are. We put together all the broken pieces. We put together all the life learnings, maganda at pangit. Lalo na yung mga pangit. We put together, and lagi kong sinasabi in my book, The Beauty of 40, Unwrapping the Gift of Midlife, I would like to capture this. As I said there, walang tapon sa buhay. Everything will make sense. You don't stop figuring out things, but joy. Problems of the past are different from problems of the present. Yes, pwedeng pareho sila ng formation. Parang minsan parehong issue, pero iba yung pagkakapackage. But you know what? It's just there. It's recurring because we need to keep being honed in that aspect. And another angle is that we need to learn lessons along the way. Favorite ko tong analogy eh. I think I've heard this in Brother Bo Sanchez Kerygma conference talk in the theme forward. You know how many years did the Israelites went to the desert? I think they were there for more than 20 years. Paikot-ikot sila sa desert experience because they never learned the lessons. And you know how long will it take just for them to go to the promised land? I think that's about 20 days or something. There's an analogy that if you go straight from the desert experience to the promised land, it's just will take about a month or less than a year. But how come it took them more than 20 years? Because they never learned the lessons. So friends, that's why it's called adult wisdom. Sa'kin, ang tawag doon, it's the inner wisdom that we're circulating. We need to take note of that inner wisdom. If we're being pulled by so many directions, so many demands, minsan ang kailangan lang naman natin, gusto ko kasi 'to, eh, pero ano ba yung kailangan? Ano ba yung tawag ng pagkakataon? Minsan nakakalimutan natin na tingnan, it's the inner process. It's the alignment of the heart, of the spirit, of the circumstances. Why? We are all here. We are too analyzing things. It's not wrong. But if we get stuck in the process, many adults get stuck in their process and they're not aware of it. So if you feel, and going back to that, when do we stop figuring things out? If you are getting stuck figuring things out, then that's the time to stop, because you have to start moving forward. Parang the too much analysis may not be helpful. Sometimes it's nice to be single focus. When we are single focus, okay, I will park analysis and then I will use my inner wisdom. I will pray about this, but this is it. And the thing is, this is one security as adult. We will have to deal with our issues, with our stress, and the consequences of our actions. Friends, kung ang sinabi ko kanina, being an adult would entail us to be integrated with our mind, with our what's in our thoughts and in our emotion. That's one area. The second is that we need to integrate our things of the past to the future, that the present and the future. One thing that we should be able to do is actually, what did I say? Yes, we have to learn to move forward. We cannot be stuck. Kaya maraming adults na stuck, they keep analyzing and analyzing to the point that they're no longer living. 'Di ba? Kung tayo, ang dami na bawat stage ng adult natin, ang dami mong ideals, ang dami mong hinarbor na hurt feelings, ang dami mong inisip, all at the same time. And 'di ba, of there's a lot of junk. Pag nilaglag mo yung iba at binitawan mo, I'm sure may mababasag. I'm sure may maiiwan. And that is one mark of adult. So the first one, integrate our thoughts and our emotions. Second, integrate our past, our present, and our future. Walang tapon sa buhay. Integrate our experience, integrate our inner wisdom. And third, we have to deal with our shit. Deal with the consequence of our actions. That's so a mark of being an adult. We have to deal with the consequences of our actions. Pag nagkamali, we know how to clean up. Pag nagkalat, you know you are at fault. Kaya marami, they fail at being adults to integrate their inner wisdom. You know why? Because they leave their problems behind. They do not want to deal with the mess that they have created. Look at social media. Look at politics. It's there. But real adults are mature adults. Yes, that's owning up and taking accountability, being responsible for yourself. And you're going to call it mission because you have people around you who are dependent on you in one way or another. And to you're able to help them. But in the process, if you are at fault, you're able to apologize and you're able to make it up with them. May nangyaring masamang relasyon, you are able to take accountability. Own up your mistakes. Apologies. Reach out to another person. Kaya bakit marami ang zine zone, nag-iiwan, sinimulan hindi kayang tapusin. They cannot deal with their emotions. They cannot deal with their thoughts. They cannot deal with their mistake. And isn't it that when we own up and be accountable for ourselves, and that's where we learn at best. That's where the wisdom comes. Yun yung critical dun, friends. Hindi tayo makakapulot ng wisdom kung makikinig lang tayo. You're listening to me. Yes, you may pick up a point or two or three. Thank you. But if it's in the experience that's happening to you, you do not listen, you fail to look into your adult wisdom, and then that's a problem, because maybe you listen more to the outside world, but you do not integrate what you've learned with what you have inside you. And that's how it is. How do we do the adulting? You need to learn how to integrate your thoughts and emotions, integrate your past, your present, your future, and you integrate all of you to your actions, to the consequences of the life that you created, the mess that you have started in anything. Some of the points that I share with you, they're from my developmental psychology books, but some of the things that I've shared with you, it's just part of the inner wisdom that I have been mulling over for the past years. So, friends, let's start with that. If there's being an adult, it's about one, it's being able to integrate our thoughts and our emotions. That's one key area. How are you with this? The second area that I would like you to reflect on is that, are you able to integrate the learnings, the stress, and the problems of your past to your present to prepare you for the future? Connect that yan. And sabi nga ni Steve Jobs, you can only connect dots looking backwards. Hindi mo yan maiisip. Ang dami nangyari sa buhay ko. I cannot enumerate it now, but we have to start looking anong tinuro sa atin nung mga mess sa buhay natin, because that mess have a message, and the message, it's to create that third, the authentic, the integrated you, meaning the integrated you are aware of your emotions, you are aware of your um, reactions, you are aware of your decisions and your thoughts and beliefs, but you're able to pick up and integrate your past to your present to your future. So the third part is really, but and of course the more important, in your present your input together all this and make it beautiful in being accountable for yourself, your actions, and the life that you are creating. A perfect life is not defined by the books. A perfect life is not how others would be in their news feed. A perfect life, that's unicorn. There's no perfect life because you define what's perfection for you. And friends, I would like you to ask questions so that next put your questions here and I will read through, so that next episode, as we continue, we can see through some practical tips that I can give on being in adulthood, and then we'll talk more about adulthood and adulting. And that's it for coffee break. Don't forget, if you have questions on how to, I am not promising everything, but let's see how we can integrate everything in my session next episode. I hope, if you have in any case a personal concern, oh no, a personal question with me on how I did things, I'll be very vulnerable or honest to open up some of the aspects that I've learned if you just would like to hear about it. So feel free to put that questions here at this episode so I can use it as materials for the next episode. Don't forget, use your inner wisdom. That's how we are made as adults. God bless you all. Happy adulting. See you again next episode here at Coffee Break with Dr. Michelle Alignay. Thank you and have a good day.